Hi, YouTube. We're live. So today we are what?
I am laughing at myself.
Today we are going to be discussing Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco, which is one of my favorite reads of the past couple of years. Um, Mostly for the couple that's in the series. Not right now, because you said that you were going to be going up there in a little bit, and I didn't want to disturb you.
Hi, Sean.
Um, so mostly for the couple that's in this series, they're kind of amazing. So this was a reread for me. It was a first time read for you, Robin. What were your thoughts?
My thoughts were, oh my God, stop pestering me, Julie.
I finished it like a couple of weeks ago.
No. It wasn't just that you finished it and then you kept asking me every 2 days, how far have you gotten? It was also, who do you think did it? Who do you think did it? Who do you think did it? Who do you think did it?
Well, I wanted to know what your theories were.
I was like 12 pages into the book. No one had died yet.
Someone was dead on the very first page. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, there was someone dead, but we didn't know it was a serial killer.
True. But I think the thing that upset you most about the book was the pictures.
Yes. Go ahead, show pictures if you want.
So, I'm trying to find the one that's. So, the one that upset Robin the most, I think.
It's in the second half of the book.
This one?
Yep, that one. Except it was like super close to my head because I read laying down. And so it was like right here, and I was expecting words and not that.
Yeah, so there's like anatomy pictures and various different things that kind of lend scientific credence to things that are mentioned in the book.
Also just pictures of London and a tea party.
Yeah, there's various different pictures throughout the book that has to do with stuff that's going on in the story. So the little blurb on the back is: he murdered women in cold blood. He terrorized an entire city. He taunted those of us who hunted him down. But despite all these horrors, in the end, I could not deny it. I was the girl who loved the Ripper. So
I didn't read that until I was like a third of the way through the book.
Obviously, that leads you to believe that it's necessarily a romantic interest, and there are a couple of different romantic interests in the story, one of whom's actually a romantic interest, and then the other whom's kind of being pushed on her by her parent.
I mean, the romantic interest in that lasted all of like 5 pages.
Yeah. Her dad's trying to marry her off to a like constable guy, and she very quickly like decides he's kind of an ass and she doesn't like him. But the throughout the story, they have a couple of different people that she thinks might be the Ripper. One of whom is the guy Thomas Cresswell, who she is falling for, and the other is her father, the constable, her uncle. All of these are people that she suspects throughout the story. And there's clues leading to each one of them. I believe the first time I read it, I knew it couldn't possibly be her dad for the same reason you knew it couldn't be Santos in Warbringer. It was too easy. And several times she like suspects Thomas and then throws it out. And she suspects Thomas and then throws it out. She suspects Thomas and then throws it out. And she keeps coming back to like a lot of the things that they're expecting, based on what they know about Jack the Ripper, is that he was hurt by a woman. Either Beyonce left, or somebody, like a female close to him, died, and he now hates all women because of that. Or there's a forensics thing going through there. Like there's an aspect of like transplants where they think that maybe the woman was in need of a transplant and died because she couldn't get one, because transplants haven't been successful yet. It's in the very, very early stages of that science. So Audrey's uncle and Thomas both are working on trying to make transplants happen. Audrey's mother could have used a heart transplant. She died when she was very young because of scarlet fever. She got sick and died because her heart wasn't strong enough. And I believe her dad actually tried to make her uncle operate on her while she was sick.
I think her uncle did operate on her while she was sick.
So like she wasn't strong enough to make it through the surgery because she was sick. Like you're not supposed to have surgery when you're sick, but it's the 1800s. So science is very all willy-nilly.
Although to be honest, in the 1800s, you probably just shouldn't have surgery.
Probably. It was pretty risky to begin with. Turns out Thomas's mother died much the same way. She needed a transplant as well. And obviously transplants barely even exist. Like they're simply theoretical so far. The tests that they've done, no successful transplants happened. So the story is leading you up. Audrey thinks it's her dad. She's certain it's her dad. The story's kind of leading you to believe that it's Thomas, on just the like between I was the girl who loved Ripper. He's this suave kind of, I mean, not even really suave. He's actually really like abrasive.
I found him so annoying. I wanted to punch him in the face.
He's a very
he's a know-it-all.
He's a know-it-all. He's very much a know-it-all. And he doesn't know how to deal with people well. He's kind of borderline, like almost sociopathic, in that he doesn't really care about other people very much. And his constant flirtations with Audrey are, to me, they were hilarious, but they were also borderline like inappropriate for the time period. And sometimes not even borderline, they were pure on inappropriate for the time period.
At times they were just aggravating.
But he basically, like, from the moment they first meet, he's like very intrigued by her intelligence and her ability to, like, he treats her as an equal, which she struggles with. Even her uncle, who's teaching her this forensic science, the entire time her uncle's like, I really shouldn't be doing this. I really shouldn't be doing this. You're a girl, blah, blah, blah. She never has that blockage with Thomas, ever. The moment he realizes, like the moment that they first start talking about the science behind stuff, and he realizes, hey, she knows what she's talking about. She's intelligent. He's like, okay, you're good. You don't need to prove yourself to me. Like you're there. There's this conversation they have about the women that Jack's killing because they're prostitutes, right? The uncle's all like avoiding commenting on their job,
like just saying that that they are prostitutes is like, oh my God, you can't say that in front of a woman.
Yeah,
that all the prostitutes are women.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, he's so hung up on them being prostitutes and talking about their job in front of Audrey, and Thomas is just like,
go ahead.
Thomas is just like, she cuts open dead people. Can we please stop focusing on what their job is?
Well, and he does it too. And at one point, he's getting, her uncle's getting flustered, because they're talking about prostitutes. It's like, dude, you have a dead prostitute cut open on your table right now.
Yeah, and their job is clearly significant to how they're being murdered in the first place. Like, clearly the Ripper has an issue with prostitution, and in order to find out who the Ripper is, you might need to talk about prostitution in front of the girl that's helping you solve the case.
No.
But the moment Audrey's like, it doesn't bother me, Thomas is kind of like, okay, doesn't bother her. So why do we need to keep acting like it's a big deal? Like prostitution happens. We all know it does. But so he's like they're both helping with the investigation. They're both there's a point where her father, who supposedly is addicted to opium, gets sent away and the murders stop happening, which of course encourages Audrey to think it's her dad, because for the month that he was gone, nobody died. And just all these different things leading up to, oh my God, it's my father. And you're sitting there and like, it can't be, it's too easy. Because any murder mystery, every single, like if all the evidence is purely pointing to one person and they're saying it's one person for half the book, you know it's not that person. But what everyone fails to realize is that there's another guy who fits a very similar description to Thomas throughout the entire story. Lost his mother at a young age, has an issue with prostitutes, all sorts of other stuff, and that's her brother. And sure enough, turns out her brother is the Ripper, and he's doing it because he's stealing their organs to try and bring their mom back, Frankenstein style.
Yeah.
Because these books also like to work in like a classic monster into the story. Because book 2's hunting Prince Dracula. I wonder what the classic monster for that's going to be.
Is it a werewolf?
But
see, I was not as surprised as you were that it was her brother. Who did you think it was?
I honestly wasn't sure.
Okay.
Like the first time around, I was like, other than like I knew it, like I knew that even though like the story wanted us to believe it was Thomas, I knew it couldn't be because I love Thomas way too much for that.
So when I was reading it, I had to deal with, how. When did you read this the first time?
2-3 years ago.
Okay, so I have had to deal with you telling me to read this book for 2 or 3 years and telling me you just love the main couple. And so I knew it couldn't be Thomas because you would have given up on that after you finished the book if it was Thomas. So that leaves only 3 people: her brother, her uncle, and her father. Her uncle was too easy.
I honestly think even though we didn't know enough about him, I thought it might be the constable.
See, she didn't really love him. Like she didn't. She didn't. So when I finally did read the blurb and it said that she loved the Ripper, it was like, okay, well, she didn't love him, so it couldn't be him.
Yeah.
And then you get, so that leaves her brother and her father. Like I literally was like, okay, it's one of those 2.
Right. And all the evidence is pointing to the father.
Her father's, getting, there's way too much leaning on her father. I am only 2/3 of the way through this book and it's still they're still saying it's her father. And then when they're like, oh my God, it's her father. I'm like, oh, can't be her father. I still have 50 pages to go.
See, I think when I was reading it the first time, after she left her dad's house, I kind of forgot her brother basically existed. Like he was such, like, I don't know, he just wasn't in the book enough for me to even be thinking about him as a suspect.
See, this is why I told you to shut up, because from the moment you said, who do you think the Ripper is? I'm like, well, I only have 3 characters to go off of. And so I've spent the rest of the book sitting there trying to figure out who the Ripper was. And so from that moment on, Nathaniel was in my head, like, okay, here are our options. And he was always one of those options because I just couldn't forget because, every page I'm like, is it still him? Is it still him? Okay, but is it still him?
But yeah, so it's one of like it's hilarious because Audrey Rose is one of my favorite characters because she is very modern for the fact that she's in like it's like 1899 or whatever, or 1889, something like that, like 88. Okay, so 1888, and she's not only studying forensic medicine, she actually makes a point to she talks about early on in the book how she still likes to wear dresses. She likes to be a girly girl, but at the same time, there's no reason why she can't be intelligent and study science while still dressing as a girl. And then there comes a point in the book where she finally gets so fed up with her father being like oppressive of her, pulling her out of her forensic medicine class that she's been basically auditing because she can't actually attend as a girl. All this other stuff. She starts taking to wearing just riding habits because they're a little bit more like there's less restriction in movement in the riding habit because you got to be able to ride a horse.
They're pants.
They're basically pants, except they kind of have like a skirt thingy over them to make it look kind of.
It's enough that it's scandalous.
What's that?
It's pretty scandalous for her to go around wearing it.
Yes, when she's not riding.
Yes.
And so it's a big turning point for her as far as like being like, no, I'm not going to let anybody dictate what I'm going to wear. I'm going to wear stuff that makes me comfortable, that makes me. And she still wears dresses from time to time after that. But just her preferred like day wear now is just riding clothes because they're easier to move in and it's anti.
I think a lot of it is just her trying to piss off her father.
That too.
I think most of it might be her trying to piss off her father.
She basically, when she starts doing that, she's not living at home anymore. She moves into her uncle's house essentially.
She was basically, I won't say she was kicked out. She was threatened to be kicked out, and she said, "Okay, bye, I'm leaving."
Right. Because he told her that if she kept studying science, then he was going to disown her, and she said, "Okay."
Hi.
The biggest question I had in the series, but with this book anyway, is how on earth Nathaniel had his laboratory underneath the father's office without the father ever knowing.
Oh, that is so creepy.
Yeah, like there's this painting that is hanging up in the father's office that ends up being a hiding a secret passageway down into Nathaniel's lab where he has their mother, who's been dead for 5 years, on ice and is trying to bring her back to life. Very, very creepy scene.
Although I do want to know, Audrey asked this question. I don't think it ever gets answered. The painting is of someone that her father didn't even like. Why was it on the wall in his study?
I would think Nathaniel probably put it there while the dad was all opioided up.
I mean, he sobered up a little bit. Like, it's not like he was high all the time. He had to occasionally go in there and see, dude, why is this picture here?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, that's the biggest question I have is just how he got that painting there and kept it there. Because it was like, I don't think it was necessarily that it was somebody that they didn't like. It was an ancestor that both the uncle and the brother had been named after.
That's what, and he didn't like his uncle, so it's like, why did you put this picture? Audrey didn't mention that there was something he didn't like. Why would you even put?
Yeah, because the dad and the uncle aren't speaking. They've barely spoken since the mom died. Because the father blames the uncle, even though he was the one that wanted pushed him to do to try and do the transplant in the first place. She basically says her father was looking for a miracle cure that would never have happened and pushed her uncle into doing a risky surgery.
As all surgeries were in the 1800s.
Yes. But it's funny too because Audrey she's European aristocracy, but she's also they make a point of her grandmother on her mother's side is from India. Her grandparents got married. Like her grandfather went to India and as part of the military occupation there, married her grandmother, brought her back to England. They had the mom. The mom married Lord Henry Wadsworth.
It's either Edward or Edmund.
Okay. And apparently her
name is Melina.
Yes, her mom's name is Melina. And they used to have days where they would just eat Indian food as a family that Nathaniel didn't like for some reason because he's
messy.
Yeah, because a lot of Indian food's eaten with your hands. They're very much less refined in the British standards.
Really, most people, most cultures, the food is handheld food.
Yes. Only in because or they use other utensils like in China and stuff where they use chopsticks. There's lots of different ways of eating that British aristocracy.
Oh my god.
And Nathaniel tries really hard to be more white than he's not. He focuses more on the Wadsworth side of things. He all that sort of thing. And she has these really nice memories of her grandmother bringing her saris and whatnot. And it's not really brought up that her peers don't like her might not like her or trust her for being part Indian at all. They tend to more be judgmental of her because of, science. But she's a very unique blend of different kind of our time period with the past in that she's a girl studying science in 1888. That pretty much just says it all as far as how modern she is for a heroine. But one of the things, my favorite part of their romance is that he treats her as an equal, which is unusual in a lot of stories, but especially ones that take place in 1888. Even though he's a know-it-all and he's pompous, he actually tries to listen to her. He doesn't always believe her. He doesn't always agree with her, but he tries to support her when he can. And even when she was talking about confronting her father near the end of the book, he was like, okay, if you need to do this, you need to do this. Please wait for me to be there. Just so you have some backup, because backup is a smart thing when you're confronting a serial killer.
They didn't even have a word for serial killers back then.
Right. But
Career murderer.
yeah, backup is probably a pretty good thing to have if you're going to confront somebody you suspect is a career murderer. Like maybe, just maybe, it's not unintelligent to say that you might want to have somebody there besides just you.
But my father would never hurt me.
Yeah. That was her logic behind why she was going to confront her father anyway, was because she thought that her dad would never hurt her. Well, it turns out it wasn't her father, it was her brother, and he kind of manhandled her a lot after he realized she wasn't on board with his whole Frankensteining up their mom thing.
He's like, oh, what are you? Yeah, no, this is a no. And then he, stole some blood and manhandled her.
Yeah.
And said, aren't they great?
Yeah. And his whole logic behind killing the prostitutes was that they infect good men. Because that totally makes sense.
Like, I'm sorry. People who go see prostitutes can't say anything about prostitutes. And I'm not saying he went to go see a prostitute, but at that point, you have to, blame the men who are going too.
Yes.
If you are anti-prostitution, you can't just be anti-prostitute. You have to be against the men going to the prostitute.
Yeah, because the prostitutes wouldn't make any money if there weren't men frequenting them.
It's not like they're sitting there, beating them over the head, dragging them into a back room, stealing their pockets, and then having sex.
No.
That'd be interesting to steal someone's pockets. To steal the money out their pockets.
Prostitution wouldn't be a viable thing if it wasn't for men who actually buy them. It's kind of mostly the men's fault. The women are just filling a need in society. Classic capitalism.
Adam, just saying, Adam Rules Everything talks about prostitutes.
And it's funny too, because she talks about a lot how a lot of the women who are prostitutes literally are like one mistake, like we're one mistake away from becoming prostitutes. Like one of the girls that died was their former maid, who, when she got let go because their dad changes staff every few months, because he's a germaphobe, and somehow bringing more new people into the house.
He's also crazy.
And so once she got fired, she went on a downward spiral of like she needed to eat, and a very, very good way of making money as a woman in the 1800s is prostitution. You either get married or you sell yourself. There's not a whole lot of options.
And really, just everyone that they let go, basically their life just...
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, even the guys, because he let them go without reference letters.
Right.
And so they basically couldn't get a good job after that.
Right. One of their, like, men that, one of the men that helped, like, he was their carriage driver, I believe. He's now working on a, like, he's working as a deckhand on a ship, and a ship that's helping to, like, they're stealing they're stealing stuff, and then selling it on the black market.
Glasses.
Yeah. But
the black market.
Yeah, like customs dodger, like he's working on a custom dodging ship. Their dad's old valet as they would pronounce it, thanks to I know that thanks to Downton Abbey. Her dad's old valet is dying right now. Like in the story, like when they go see him, he's already dying. And I was really curious as to your thoughts on like how they found the murder from a few years before that happened to be Uncle Jonathan's ex-fiance.
Mm-hmm.
They said it looks like multiple killers. Do you think the valet and the driver helped Nathaniel kill that woman?
I don't see. Okay. At one point, I thought it was Nathaniel and the father doing the killing because I can't remember who. I was reading very quickly, but who someone they found, there were witnesses to the murder, and they said that it was a man and a teenage boy.
Right, and that was the first one. Early on, like the uncle's ex-girlfriend or ex-fiance was, they said that there was a man and a teenage boy, which the teenage boy would have obviously been Jonathan. And
Jonathan.
not Nathaniel, not Jonathan, Nathaniel. And
Was it the first one? I thought it was something I read yesterday.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because Nathaniel's no longer a teenage boy.
I know, which was confusing me, but
no, I think that was the first one.
okay. Well, then, I mean, that tells you he's getting help from someone.
Right. And obviously the valet knew stuff about that murder. He didn't quite get the chance to say what it was before he died, but he knew something. And then obviously the old carriage driver knew something too. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been murdered. Yeah, she tracks him down and finds him like seconds after Nathaniel kills him. And yeah, so obviously it's one of my favorites. I give it 5 stars. What would you give it? Like I know you didn't.
Not one of my favorites.
So you did like it? You enjoyed it?
I did like it.
Okay. I'm glad you
nowhere
liked it.
near as much as you did.
I really like. I think a big part of that is because Thomas annoyed you.
I mean, well, yes. I mean, part of it is that Thomas annoyed me. It didn't do it. It's still a good book. It just didn't do it for me.
Book 2, I feel like book 2 is better. Like I feel like you're gonna like that one more.
Is this going to be A Court of Thorns and Roses all over again? Where I just like I read the person like, why the hell did you make me read this? And then the next was like, oh, okay.
Possibly. I feel like book 2 is a lot better. I can't say on book 3 yet. I haven't read it. I'm waiting for us to be reading it so that we can read one together.
Does it hurt?
Yes, because it's beautiful. And I got my pre-order swag from it, which is like 8 tarot cards with I'm really kind of bummed it's not a full deck, but
I was say when you said 8, I'm like, where are the other ones?
Yeah, it's 8 tarot cards of like the Magician, and I think the Empress is in there, and of course the lovers are Audrey Rose and Thomas, because Audrey Rose and Thomas.
Are you okay?
I really like them.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
But yeah, book 2 is gonna be like I feel like you're gonna like that one a lot better. It takes place in Romania, obviously.
I noticed. And she's getting sent to Romania at the end of the book.
Yes, because there's a forensic school there that her father has given her permission to attend.
That's so random.
And what?
That's so random. I can't imagine Romania having a forensic,
right? But we get some more backstory on Thomas's family. We get to meet his sister in this book, who is a very interesting character. It's funny because I don't know about you, but when I finished book 1, I thought that Audrey and Thomas were engaged.
Where did you get that from?
Her father basically gave them permission. But like they kind of like, it's the way that they do it, like the way that they imply in book 2 is it's more like he's declared his intentions on courting her. So they're not getting married yet, but they're like he's like yes, I like her. I would like to marry her. Give me a chance to make her want to marry me.
I was about to say, when you said that you thought they were engaged, I'm like, dude, they haven't even started dating yet.
Well, people didn't date in 1888.
He hasn't started courting her yet. It's not like you can just come out of nowhere and say, I want to marry your daughter right now.
What do you think the constable did?
Yeah, and then he had to court her.
But Thomas and Audrey have been getting to know each other over the entire investigation, so it's not like he doesn't know that she's attracted to him.
And as they said, arranged marriages are out of fashion.
Yeah. But he knows she likes him. Because there was that kiss in after they got attacked by the
back alley.
Yeah, there was this scene where they were trying to track the Ripper, and so she was actually dressed as a prostitute to try and drag the Ripper out, and they get attacked by somebody who has a grudge against Thomas because of the bodies that he's been buying from the he's been buying them from the mortuaries. He was supposed to be only getting unclaimed bodies, and I guess the guy who was selling them was selling any bodies that came across that weren't rich enough to make a difference. Because one of the guys, his wife or girlfriend, somebody he loved, had died, and Thomas had bought her body, not knowing that it was a claimed body, but the guy was selling them to him anyway just to make the money, and he was actually pretty pissed about that because he didn't want, he was like, I don't want to be doing science experiments on bodies of people who have loved ones that need to have funerals and stuff to be able to have some closure.
And he said he didn't want to be doing it without permission.
Right. It'd be one thing if the family came to him and was like, go ahead, do this autopsy. That's one thing, but it's another to be cutting open bodies that have nothing to do with any sort of investigation and don't have permission of the loved ones, which a lot of people wouldn't give permission at this period in time because science is, Satanism. And it's just, people think that Audrey's going to hell just because she cuts open dead people.
I'm pretty sure there's people now who would say that.
Not as many of them.
Not as many, but at the very least, they would be creeped out and say, get away from me.
Well, it is kind of creepy. I wouldn't want to cut open dead people. Though I did at 5.
My brother's a mortician.
Your brother's a mortician? I didn't know that.
Nah, you do.
I actually have a, those things you make in kindergarten of what you want to be when you grow up. I have one that I wanted to be a coroner at 5.
I don't think I knew what a coroner was.
I don't know how I knew what it was. But I very clearly, it even has the stick figure picture of me with a doctor get up and scalpels and stuff.
What am I
And then
supposed
says it. I don't know. I was weird at 5.
at 5?
I was weirder at 5. But yeah, so we'll be getting started on hunting Prince Dracula. I am pretty excited for this one too. Mostly because I think this one might actually be able to surprise you.
You're going to say that, and then I want to find a way not to be surprised.
I can't say anything because spoilers, but I think this one's going to surprise you. And then after that, we'll be reading Escaping Houdini, which I'm really excited to see how they because with the classic monster thing, I'm kind of curious as to how they're going to incorporate that into Escaping Houdini. My guess would probably be Invisible Man because, it kind of seems to go with the whole like magic show thing. But who knows? And yeah, so
now you see me. That's a good movie.
It was. I haven't seen the second one though.
I didn't like it as much. But there's supposed to be a third one and a spinoff.
Oh really?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like Now You See Me surprised me too. Like I wasn't expecting that ending.
I don't think anyone was.
So it was a pretty interesting twist. But yeah, we will be moving on. Once we finish those two, we'll be moving on to Song of Achilles and then Circe, because Robin's been just waiting.
Patiently.
And yeah, so we'll be talking about Tadas and Audrey again soon, hopefully. And apparently there's going to be some sort of content from Thomas's point of view coming out at some point in the future, because Kerri just posted that on Twitter recently.
Okay.
And then it was hilarious because there was a point where she did an entire like Twitter Q&A in character as Thomas. And there was a point where somebody asked him how many kids he and Audrey are going to have. And he said that he believed there was a point where he said something about an entire brood. And I'm like, an entire brood of like mini Thomases and Audreys is kind of scary. Like that, those brains and they're just like, they're very intelligent, and an entire group of children combining their traits is kind of terrifying to me. Like I'd love to see that just because it'd be hilarious to see like a dozen little scientist kids. And then there'd have to be that one kid who was like, no, I'm not, because screw you, mom and dad.
Like the one kid in the family who's an artist.
Yes. And I guarantee you they'd still love him to death.
Oh, but, of course.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for Hunting Prince Dracula. I'm actually probably will be starting it tomorrow.
I won't be. I don't have it yet.
Well, you need to get it.
Well, I'm sorry, but the library is closed right now.
What are you waiting for, Robin? Why didn't you get it earlier?
Because I was busy reading. And playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's taking up a lot of time. I've been falling behind on some stuff.
I have been very busy getting a Nightborn elf. I now am working on a Void elf.
I still haven't left level 50 yet.
Oh, I haven't played that character since the last time we played.
I feel like you're only really playing it when I'm playing.
Well, because I was spending the rest of my time getting that Nightborn because I didn't want it to take me another month or two. And so I got my Nightborn, and now and my guild is mad at me because I haven't really been playing the new expansion.
Yeah, my guild's a bit mad at me because I haven't leveled at all this week, so I still can't raid with them.
Well, go get over it.
Yeah, I couldn't sit.
Okay. We are now doing what we always do and getting off topic.
Yes. Yeah. I just so everybody knows, I fell down the stairs early this week. It was bad, and I couldn't play World of Warcraft, but I could read, which is awesome. Because reading reading can involve laying down instead of sitting.
I am pretty sure I have played World of Warcraft laying down.
Yeah. I just couldn't figure out a way to get because I'd have to lay on my stomach, and my computer would then be on pillows, and it just wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good.
I'm not saying I played well or for very long, but I've done it.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be getting up on those levels this week, and also starting hunting Prince Dracula, because
oh my God, I know we just said that the name of the book is Hunting Prince Dracula. I totally was going to call it Hunting Jack the Ripper.
No, we already know who that was.
Well, I mean, and I know he, but still, my brain doesn't work. Okay. It is busy trying to work out what I still need to do in World of Warcraft before I can finish the last expansion.
Yeah.
I took like a 6 or 7 month hiatus from World of Warcraft, or maybe it was a year.
Yeah. I need to create an alliance character too, because why not?
Well, you have to wait till I get a Voida. Okay. Or a Lightborn Draenei.
Okay.
Actually, you can do those are. Those are the other allied races that I'm working on getting.
I don't know how to get these extra races at all.
It is very hard, and you have to be at level 110.
So yeah, I have a long way to go.
And it's very hard. I also need to get flying in Legion. I don't have flying for Legion yet. And so if I get it on the character I'm working on, we should end this video.
Yes. All right, guys, we're gonna go. See you guys.
Stop doing this.
See you guys soon, we hope.
Bye.
Depending on how long it takes Robin to finish hunting Prince Dracula, because I'll have it done pretty quickly, probably.
I mean, I got the audio. It actually only took me 3 days to read the book.
You just had to start it.
I know.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.